it amazes me that how little effort we spend on writing about ourselves, whether it's a cover letter, whether it's a resume, whether it's our social media copywriting, and things like that really set up our personal brand. They put ourselves in the right perspective. That's why I'm so happy to have Debra Wheatman with us today. Debra is the founder of Careers Done Right, a certified executive resume writer and certified executive career coach. She helps people write their resumes, draft cover letters, and develop their professional brand to stand out from the competition. Her main presence is on LinkedIn, where she posts motivational content, thought-provoking polls, educational videos, and blog articles to over 12,000 active followers. She can be found online at www.careersdoneright.com. And in addition to that, she just had a book come out in the last, month or so?
Yes, in about the last month, yes.
There we go. Can you show us the book? Talk
Sure.
about it a little bit?
Yeah.
Help to Hired. So we're going to dive into what we're talking about today. But before that, I do want to talk a little bit about the book. Then we'll talk about our last episode. Then we'll dive deeper into our topic today, creating the right personal look.
Perfect. So I founded Careers Done Right about 20 years ago. I guess it's a little bit less, maybe 18, 19 years ago, because I wanted to provide people the opportunity to really understand how to go about pursuing new gratifying work and the steps they need to take to get those jobs, be successful, and move ahead progressively in their career. At the time, I was working with a small sort of startup, and they were offering this as a service, and I sort of launched my own business from that experience. And sort of, it's been a really interesting and inspiring and very unique journey. I have had the pleasure of working with over 10,000 job seekers since that time. My business is global, so I work with people all over the world. And, you know, in the United States, of course, in every city for the most part, or a lot of cities and a lot of states. And then internationally, a lot of money banking centers in Europe and the Middle East. So that's primarily where my business comes from. And, you know, at the end of the day, my work really is squarely centered in helping people understand what their brand is and how to evangelize that, how to bring it forward, and how to make the most of it so that they are successful when they move into new positions, when they're pursuing those positions, and the things that they want people to think about them.
Awesome. All right, so I want to talk about our last episode, then we'll dive deeper into this. And interestingly enough, our last episode was also about, well, copywriting in a very different way. So last week we had Bobby Klink on to talk about email marketing that doesn't suck. So Bobby has a very, I want to say unique take, but I agree with him. So I don't know how unique it is. A very good take on how to cut through a lot of the noise when it comes to your email marketing. And I love that we're doing these episodes back to back, because here we have, I love the way that you're phrasing it, Debra, from that brand standpoint, because ultimately I think that's where everything needs to start. The more that you have that brand figured out, the easier it is to find that tone, that voice, that word, the wording, the verbiage, whatever it is that you use going out of that. So I do want to, as we dive into this, do you have the link for the book that you want us to provide anybody specifically? Or
so it's on Amazon, and I can, let's see, I think I can share it with you perhaps in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, if you drop it in the chat here, or if you drop it in the chat on the Facebook, we'll make sure we get it in both.
Okay, all right, so let's see. Let me see here, hold on.
Sure.
I'm just pulling it up.
No problem. So while Debra's pulling that up, just to let you all know, so today we're talking about creating the right personal look. So from that cover letter to your social media and beyond. Obviously, we talk a ton about branding, so I'm so excited to talk to Debra about that in more specificity, because again, all this is going to come out of that brand, you know, as you're positioning yourself, whether it's looking for a job versus hiring somebody else versus growing your firm versus being part of your marketing team versus generating more leads for your firm, whatever that looks like. It's all going to come back to that brand. So this is hugely helpful, even if you are lucky enough to be in your dream job currently. there's still a ton of interesting information, wisdom, and insight that you can glean from Deborah. And I know that to be true because I have followed her on LinkedIn, and it is truly correct. It's not just 12,000 followers; it's 12,000 active and engaged followers across the awesome stuff that she's sharing.
Thank you. So I put it in the chat there if anybody is interested. And the reason why I wrote the book is really because I wanted to provide people with one place to find information that is usable, that is easy to understand, easy to digest, and they can implement it quickly. It's not something that's difficult. It's not difficult to understand. It's not difficult to read. It's a quick read, and it provides actionable information that allows people to really move ahead with purpose as they pursue new opportunities.
Awesome. And for those of you watching this on Facebook, Deborah dropped the chat in our internal group meet, so Greg will copy that over into the Facebook for you. So if you haven't seen that link posted yet on your end, it's coming. Don't worry about that. All right, so here's how I want to start this conversation. I want to talk about like coming up with that brand standpoint, because I think once we do 5 or 10 minutes on that, then it's easier to talk about how we incorporate that into the resume, the cover letter, etc. But talk to me, like, how do you walk attorneys through figuring out that professional brand?
So one of the first things that I encourage people to do is create a list of the things that you think you're really good at. What is it that you're known for? But it also has to include not just your own opinion about yourself or the things that you know you're good at, because everybody knows, oh, I'm really good at this. And people will talk about the things that they think they're good at. You also need to go to the market. Go to people you know, go to your colleagues, go to your friends, go to your family, and find out from them an external perspective. What am I good at? What do you think of when you think of me? Because that's really the basis for informing your brand. And not just what you're good at. It's also about the areas where you need improvement. Because your brand is not just about the things that you're good at, right? It really is the amalgamation of the entirety of what you offer. And in order to inform your brand and make sure that it is well-rounded and robust, you need to also understand the areas where improvement is needed. That doesn't mean that it's not bad. It just provides you with clarity so that as you're creating your brand and as you're working on it and as you're refining it, which is an important point because your brand is portable. It's not something where you set it and forget it. This is absolutely something that you're going to continue to work on, because the person you are today is not going to be the same person you are a year from now. And it's not the same person you were 5 years ago. This is something that constantly evolves. It constantly changes. It grows with you as you develop as a person, as you develop as a professional. And informing your brand requires a couple of things. As I said, not just what you're good at, but understanding the areas where you would like to grow or improve so that you can ultimately weave those themes into the overall story that you're going to be telling about yourself, that you want other people to know about you. And at the end of the day, your brand is going to be the thing that people say about you when they talk about you. That's what your brand is.
Well, and the two things I want to add to that, one, or not really. And I think so many people get stuck on, like, if you are not growing yourself, if you're not growing your brand, if you're not growing your knowledge base, then you're not growing any of those things. Then you're not, getting the opportunity to speak at better things, or getting in front of better clients, or, whatever that looks like. So I love what you're talking about there. And then the second part is, here's what I think a lot of people are going to get stuck on: being afraid of getting an honest answer back. And if you don't ask those questions because you're afraid of the answer, you are going to continue to live your life with those people thinking the wrong thing about you, whether it's not necessarily wrong versus right. Maybe it's incorrect versus what you're going for. And I think that's a huge thing that lawyers struggle with. We think we're great at everything, and we're not willing to take that honest feedback from people that care about us the most, to give us that helpful feedback.
Yeah, I mean, look, constructive criticism is important. And, they say feedback is a gift. And to be honest, even though I really personally don't like that phrase, there is some truth to it. And to grow as a person, to grow as a professional, you need to be willing to look a little bit deeper and incorporate other people's, not opinions, but their feedback, because everybody has an opinion. And
Right.
it's really how they perceive you so that you can make the appropriate tweaks, if you will. I'm not saying that people should, people aren't going to revise their entire personality. That's not going to happen. Just like people are not going to revise everything that they think or that they stand for or the things that they think they're good at. They're not going to do that. What they'll do, though, is take an introspective look at the feedback that they're given and perhaps tweak things as they go along, which eventually will make you better.
Yeah, they had somebody wrote this. It was not me. I don't remember who it was. I'd love to give them credit, but they were talking about mayonnaise versus aioli. And so I hate mayonnaise. I love aioli. Aioli is just mayonnaise with garlic. And so, or donkey sauce if you're a Guy Fieri fan. So it's so funny because people get so focused on like I can't change who I am, but really just adding that little bit of, the quote unquote garlic to your brand will get you a much better result. Will get you that, hip cool factor. Will get you into the right speaking engagements, into the right rooms. I don't whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it is about modifying the ingredients, if you will, if you want to, sort of liken it to an aioli or a mayonnaise or something else. It's about changing the ingredients, modifying them, and sprinkling other things in along the way. So to your point, that you do get more speaking engagements. Maybe you get board service, which is another thing that I spend a lot of time working on with my clients, or that next opportunity or that new client, or whatever it is that you're looking for, that is going to allow you to progressively increase your skills and deliver value, and thereby you get the value in return as well.
So let me phrase it this way. So getting this information, knowing this, I think the first step would be for them to go to that which they control themselves. So like their own social media, tweak headlines, change those things. Am I correct in that being the first step?
So if you're thinking about it from a social media perspective, right? On social media, wherever you are, whether that's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever you have a presence, your presence on each of the platforms where you quote unquote play should have a consistent theme. So the picture should be the same across everything. The tagline that you use should be consistent. There needs to be a consistency that you deliver to the outside world so that you don't look like you're all over the place. With consistency will allow you to refine the message that you want to deliver. And that's in turn what people will know you for. So they see the same picture, they see the same tagline, they see you talking about the same types of things, right? Whatever type of law one practices, they talk about those things, thereby establishing your expertise in a specific area, in a particular, whatever service you're providing to your clients. And that's how you generate more interest. That's how you generate more followers. That's how you generate that thought leadership that you want to be, that you want to be known for.
See, and it's so interesting. I love how you phrase that because I think it's so funny. One, I'm of the belief we no longer have privacy. And like even, I know there was that Duck or maybe it still exists, DuckDuckGo, like the
Yes.
new, and then it found out they were selling your information to Microsoft. They were just selling less information than Google Chrome does, whatever. I just like privacy doesn't exist. But from a business perspective, from a branding perspective, it's actually I think that's beneficial for you because it is so easy for people to find the whole you if you have the right, if you're being genuine about stuff. Like if you're sitting there posting on Facebook about how dumb you are, and then you're on LinkedIn talking about how smart you are on the same topics, like there's going to be that problem for people. But if you're on there sharing a little bit more of your personal self on Instagram or Facebook, a little bit more of your business self, but it's authentic, then people are like, oh, I really get a feel for who you are as a whole person. And they might still hate you, but that's cool. Like they're hating who you really are, not just who you pretend to be.
Exactly. Look, you're not going to, not every, just like you don't love everyone, right? Not everybody is going to love you, and you actually don't need them to. You need a certain group of people. You don't need everyone. It's like they say with friends, you need one good friend. This is the same type of thing. You need a group of people, not everybody. Not everything you say on social media is going to be popular. I mean, let's face it, you can log on to any of the social things, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, and you are going to find a wide variety of opinions, right? And I always tell people anything that you put up on social media should be above reproach, because you're going to invariably, if you start talking about your feelings about a particular topic that's controversial, yeah, you're going to find people who run to your defense and they love, love, love you. Similarly, you're going to find people who revile you and think that what you're saying is, just a bunch of garbage. And then you'll find everything in between. When it comes to social media, I always encourage people, keep it professional. And that doesn't mean that you can't get controversial within the realm of your particular topic. You might be speaking to another attorney and that person has a different opinion from you. That's fine. What I'm talking about are things that are polarizing, right? Politics, things that you're not changing someone's opinion about any of these topics. And there's absolutely no reason to get into those discussions. This is just 10, 15, 17 minutes of time you will never get back.
That's so
All it
funny.
is an argument online.
Right. Yeah, no, it's like and I posted this, or I was on a feed that was like, has anybody actually seen somebody change their mind? And to be fair, one person was like, my mind was changed on the top. It was like tipping for takeout or something like that. Like they hadn't realized how a lot of those people were still classified as the same whatever, like not below minimum wage, but the lower minimum wage based
Right.
upon being servers, even though they were doing takeout. And so it was like interesting. And I was like, no, so not on abortion, not on politics, not on race relations, not on marriage, whatever, on tipping for takeout. That was the one thing someone's mind has been
Right.
changed on the internet.
But tipping for takeout, let's face it, is sort of like, is a low level argument, right?
Right.
We're not talking about, to your point, race relations, abortion, gun control, or any of these things that are hot button topics that people really, they're willing to die on the hill for those topics,
Yeah.
right? Tipping is sort of like the entry point for those things. But what it does for your brand when you get into these arguments online, immediately you're drawing the boundaries, right? You're appealing to a certain group of people, and the people over there never. There, even if you have the most brilliant, thought-provoking idea or something that could really be valuable to them and their needs, you're never getting that person. Never, because of your opinion and what you said about a particular thing. They would sooner use someone else, even if they aren't as good as you are, because of that.
And now, are you saying that from the standpoint of somebody looking for a job, or is that your advice for everybody on social media across the board?
I'll be honest, I think it's good advice for everybody. Good hygiene on social media is something that cannot be overstated. You won't find me typically, I don't post things about my opinion on these things. Nobody cares, number one. And number two, it's none of their business. And number three, again, back to the original point, C point A, I'm not changing anyone's mind. So there's really no benefit to me to espouse my ideas on any of those things. I keep everything professional on social media because that's the way. I'm here to deliver information about brand building, career growth, career development, getting more money during your salary negotiations. My job is not to politicize topics that incite people to anger.
See, I have not a different, not an opposite opinion, but a different one. So from my standpoint, for like the law firm owner who has a very specific brand, in the law, a lot of these things do overlap with what you're doing. And so I think that there are certain ones that are so like, you are a family law attorney who specializes in like 504 and IEPs for the kids. And then obviously, unfortunately, they had a school shooting last week.
Right.
To me, I think that is something that you can so jump on in a really authentic and knowledgeable manner as it relates to, your legal expertise with schools, with the differentiating things, with things you've seen schools put in place. Now, from a trying to find a job, totally different. Totally different. I'm with you on there. But from that brand building, I feel like with 1.3 million attorneys, having a stance on some of the harsher ones will make you the number one go-to lifelong firm for that right client that feels the same way as you.
That I completely agree with you. There is absolutely no question. That is an excellent point. It's sort of like if you're a politician, you talk about politics, right? It's the same type of thing. So, yes, for attorneys that have a specific thing that they focus on, their niche or whatever it is, if that is relevant, then absolutely that's within your purview and that's the field that you're playing in. Absolutely part of your brand. And yes, in fact, in those instances, I would actually encourage someone to talk about those things because, to your point, that's how you're appealing to the people that might need you that also have a similar belief. So, if it's relevant to the business, definitely I'm all in about that. I'm specifically speaking about things where it's not relevant to your business, but you feel like you're, whatever, you need to get on your soapbox and you're going to now use LinkedIn as the platform to talk about these things. That no, but for business, absolutely, law or whatever it is, yes.
Which is interesting because I think I think you're seeing more. Maybe it's politicized brands. Maybe it's not the right term. Like I think coffee's the good one, right? Like you've got the Black Rifle Coffee, and we donate X percentage to
Mhm.
troops, and yada yada yada. And then you've got like the super green, eco-friendly. We asked the beans if we could harvest them before we did. And like obviously, there's so many like political demographics that go into those things. At the end of the day, like they're selling the same coffee, but like to a very polarized niche. It's just very. It's so interesting what is quote on brand for certain brands.
Yes, and it's really, it's messaging, right? They're developing the message that aligns with the brand that they want to promote to their audience. And they're doing it in a way that allows them to not only target those people but identify new people that also perhaps feel the same way or something has impacted their lives professionally or personally that have made them a committed user, committed to the cause, to the idea, or to the ideals of a particular situation.
All right, so we asked the people closest to us for feedback. We're working on crafting the right message through what we're sharing or not sharing. What else? What next? What's the next step in that process?
So the next step is to write it down, right? You need to be able to, you can't just have things floating around up here in the ether. You'll never really know what it is and you won't be able to come to a place where you completely understand it unless you write it down. And once you write it down, then you're going to refine it, because then it's a kind of thing where
Everything
you,
okay?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
No, no,
Then
no. Life
once
happens.
you,
If it was the
no,
kids' school or something.
no,
Okay.
I didn't even realize it was on. Once you write it down and then you begin to refine it and you understand, okay, these are the common themes that I want to share with people. And this is what I'm going to share with them. Then you'll be able to take that theme, you'll be able to put it on social media as your overarching theme and build from there. So knowing what it is really very powerful, because once you have that, then you're going to from there formulate perhaps your 30-second elevator pitch. That's an important aspect of branding, because to your point before, you're going to go and maybe you'll set up some speaking engagements, let's say, or maybe you're in the middle of booking certain types of things for yourself based on what you want to share with existing and potential clients. You have to have your messaging down. So from that brand, then you're going to further refine it with a 30-second pitch of who you are, what you offer, and it has to be quick. And you have to immediately make the point so that you, one, don't lose the attention of the person that you're speaking with, and two, that there's a consistency in what you're saying, and the message that you have in that 30-second elevator pitch ties directly to your brand.
And that's what I love about like, look, social media is moving to more short form, right? Like, whatever anybody says, TikTok's getting more popular in, short hitter videos. We'll see what happens with Twitter now that Elon Musk bought it, in terms of 140 characters, 280 characters, whatever it is.
Right.
At the same time, businesses need that because attention spans are matching that change. And so, like, when you get that direct message or that cover letter that's 14 pages, it goes right in the trash. It does not get read. There's no, so like, having the right tagline, the punchline, the 30 seconds, the elevator pitch, the hook, whatever that is, like, that becomes so important for everything that you do. Whether it's the resume, whether it's social, whether it's talking to a client, whether it's, sending email newsletters, I don't care. Like, you need to get that attention.
Yes. And, we are in a world where we are bombarded with all sorts of things from every angle, right? It's sort of, I liken it to standing in the middle of Times Square and thinking that one billboard is going to keep or grab and then keep your attention. It's not going to happen. There's too many things going on. There's too many lights flashing. There's too much information. It really is information overload. And so that's why having that streamlined, that really dialed in unique value that you offer is so important. And that's the thing that will allow people to say, oh, well, I know this about this person. And it'll be quick and to the point, and they'll be able to articulate it on your behalf. What better than to have people market for you, right? Without having to pay for it. Your clients, the people that you engage, the people that talk about you online and offline, I often say that my clients are my marketing company. They're my marketing arm. I don't advertise. People talk about me, and that's how I get business. So they serve as my marketing arm. And lawyers, they can do the same thing. When you do the right thing for your clients, when you live up to your brand promise, other people will refer you.
I mean, look, 500 years ago, the reunification of Japan happened with like 3,000 troops. And then obviously, like, it built up as it went, but like, that was the first battle. You've got 12,000 people following you on LinkedIn. And obviously, like, you're not leading them to war, but like, as hard as it is to get individual people's attention, it's never been easier to talk to as many people that are interested in listening to what you have to say. And it's so beautiful. Like, what you're talking about, that brand is the difference. Like, that is the, do you want to listen to what I have to say based upon my brand, my elevator pitch, etc.
Correct. And that's why having your brand and developing and managing and maintaining it and growing it and having it evolve over time is so important. And consistency is key, right? Having your brand is not enough. It's not a question of, it's not a field of dreams. If you build it, they will not come. That's not happening. You have to build it, then you have to manage it and maintain it and feed it and grow it.
And make sure people know about it.
Right. And you have to make sure people know about it. The only way to do that is to be purposeful in how you do it. And that means that you've thought about your brand, you've evolved it to a place that you are comfortable for now, because as I said, it doesn't stay the same. It's not stagnant, because it is going to grow over time. It's going to grow like you're going to grow as a person. And then as that happens, you sort of massage things and tweak things along the way while still adding value to the people that come to listen to you, to the people that come to LinkedIn to see what you have to say, to the people that come and watch your videos or read your newsletter, or whatever touch points you're using to capture their attention and then maintain their attention.
So you said consistency, and I think everybody says it because it's true, 100%. Do you have a specific like consistency level or consistency? I don't know.
I do.
Okay.
I do. So I post every day. about something. And you said earlier on, I do polls. There's a poll that I do. I also post a video every single week. So a video goes up every week about a different topic. And sometimes the topics are more informative, like, let me tell you how your cover letter should be written, for example. Sometimes it's more of like a story. And there's a lot more of those because, people call me with stories about things that happened, their interview that went awry or was like totally, I have a million stories from clients of the head scratching things that go on. And it's easy for me to create videos out of them because I literally am that, emoji, the shake my head emoji, because of all the stories that people share with me. I also, every Friday, I put out a newsletter. So my newsletter goes out once a week. So I am constantly putting out content. Now, the newsletter, which I've been writing the newsletter for 17 years, right? 16, 17 years. And it goes out every Friday night. People write to me about the newsletter. They ask questions. They post online about it, which is great. It's part of my brand. And I'm not saying everybody needs to set up an editorial calendar and start writing a newsletter. That might be something that you might want to do, but maybe not. The consistency, though, doesn't have to be a once weekly thing. Maybe you decide you're going to do something about, once every other week or something, but whatever it is that you decide to do it consistently. That way you generate traction. People come to expect it. Everybody knows the newsletter's going out on Friday. Everybody, right? They come to expect it. It would be odd if I didn't put out a newsletter on Friday. I would probably get a bunch of emails. Is everything okay? If the newsletter didn't go out.
Well, and also from your audience of, job seekers, Friday is great. Like I had a terrible week at work. Next, like Monday, I am starting the search for a new job. Or the flip side, like I'm finally happy at work. Like, I don't have to worry about this. So there's I think there's an added time component that makes sense to your audience in that specific example.
Yes. The other thing that I think is critically important and is part of my brand, I am extremely responsive. I often tell people you can't not find me, which is true. If people want me, they know how to reach me. I publicize my phone number. The link to my website is right on LinkedIn. It's impossible to not find me if you want me. The other thing that I also do, which is very much part of my brand, is I'm very responsive. If somebody emails me, if they text me, if they call me, they know I am going to get back to them right away, immediately. Okay,
Well,
that's part of
what
my brand.
what better way for you to position yourself as a resource than through being accessible with information? I mean, like that is a resource.
It's a resource. And I want people to know that they have someone. This does not mean every person who writes to me is not going to become a client.
Right.
And that's okay. They don't all have to become clients. That's fine. But what it does do is it leaves an indelible impression. You know what? I reached out to Deb and she responded to me. I am not a client of hers, but she took the time to talk to me to answer my question. Job seeking, career development, career management is a gut wrenching thing for a lot of people, right? They have to work because not everybody is walking around, with the money tree in their backyard. They have bills to pay. They have families to feed. They have to feed themselves. They have to buy gas for their car. And not working, or when you're out of work for any length of time, can be just so disarming for people. And they struggle. And they might be the best at providing guidance to someone else. But when it comes to themselves, all of a sudden, there is a very myopic, like you feel like you're closed in, like you just don't know what to do for yourself when it comes to your own job search. So if I can provide that help to people and help guide them, even if it's for a 15-minute phone call, then it's my pleasure to do so. And the one thing that comes back to me, because those people remember that. and they share my name and they share my information with other people who might need me. But if nothing else, it allows me to provide that level of help and guidance to someone who really needs it at a time when they might be struggling.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, lawyers. Deborah's answer verbatim right there. How much does that sound like what, I don't know, hundreds of us have shared? But it's so true. Like, you're gonna get those people that will never spend a dime for what you do or enough money to afford you, but they'll tell friends, but they'll write a review, but they'll say nice things about you, but and then if they hit the lotto and they do need you, I can't imagine somebody who got a free answer from Deborah hiring anybody else to do what she does. And that's so much of what we're talking about here. And obviously, like, you can drive yourself nuts giving away all of your time for free, but like finding a couple minutes here and there becomes really helpful.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that you should give away all of your time for free. People don't necessarily value what they don't pay for, but that's a different thing, right?
Right.
Giving away 15 minutes of your time to help someone, frankly, it probably does more for you than it does for them, because we know that when you do things for other people, it makes you feel good. When you give of yourself, you get more out of it likely than the person to whom you're giving it.
Makes total sense. All right, so we're getting towards the end. I want to make sure, is there any other larger topics you want to make sure that we cover? We've got about 10 minutes or so.
Okay, so as far as brand building, I mean, for those people who are actively looking for opportunities now, right? Maybe they're either they're going to take their book of business, maybe they're a rainmaker and they're going to another firm. Wonderful. Maybe they are in-house counsel or some derivation thereof. If you are going to launch a job search, there's only 4 ways to look for work. Only 4. It's direct to your network, it's direct to company, it's through recruiters, or it's through the internet. Okay, those are the only 4 ways. And unless someone comes to me and tells me there's another way, those are the only 4 ways I know of. You need to use them all, but they are not all equal. Your network is the best and most effective way of looking for opportunities. People are not going to refer you if they don't endorse you, because it is a stain on your reputation if you endorse someone who turns out to be someone that they should not have endorsed. That's why building a network is so critical to your job search success. But the other ways, you're still going to use those ways because there's only 4 ways. And while they're not all equal, you still want to use them all. Okay. If in fact you decide that you're going to start some sort of campaign where you're going to, not only use your network, which is the best way again, but you're going to maybe reach out to people directly. This is an opportunity for you to create a cover letter. I don't care how many people tell me that they're hating on the cover letter. I am never, never giving it up. Never. There is absolutely no reason to write or to submit a resume without a cover letter. 1, that's lazy. Number 2, you don't have an opportunity to tell your unique story unless you submit a cover letter. What are you, just sending in a resume? That's like leaving your house with a jacket and no pants. Nobody's going to do that unless they want to attract unwanted attention. Nobody's doing that. Your letter is an opportunity for you to share the things that are very unique about you, that make you special, that bring out other things that you don't necessarily have the opportunity to share in your resume. And also it demonstrates your ability to write, which is a critical skill. No matter what you're doing, you have to be able to demonstrate your ability to write. Those things, they go together. You should submit them together, and it's important. Don't leave out your cover letter, ever.
So, question along those lines, what about doing like a QR code to a video?
You can certainly do that. I would do it only if asked. There are certain companies, organizations, whatever, they want a video interview, which is fine. That's totally fine. It does not replace a traditional, either face-to-face, in person, Zoom, whatever. I mean, even Zoom is not, ideal, I don't think, because sitting before someone, let's face it, meeting for coffee and my seeing you in person, totally different vibe, right? It's a different vibe. We happen to live right now in a time where, we have not, for the past couple of years, been able to do that because of certain circumstances, which is fine. But meeting in person, you really get a better sense of who someone is. You
And
just
sure, and
do.
yeah, and I don't mean in terms of meeting in person, but I mean like on that cover letter. I think it's
Mhm.
look for me from the law firm side, it's way different. From the marketing side, I've had people do that with like samples of posts that they've done, videos they made, whatever. I
Yep.
thought that was awesome and super cool, but also it fit that niche very specifically. So I was curious from your perspective as the expert if that's something you're seeing more of, or it's very unique to a specific need.
I think it's specific to a need. I haven't seen too much of it, where people have been including those things. Occasionally, it really depends on the industry and the role. So, for example, if you're like in the PR and communication space, let's just say, then it would be really relevant, right? Because your job is talking, and maybe you're going to be before the press, and you have a forward facing sort of role versus someone in a traditional, finance or capital markets role. You likely wouldn't, the audience doesn't expect that, they don't want it, and they're not necessarily going to gravitate to something like that. So I do think you need to understand who you're appealing to and then leverage it based on that.
Makes total sense. All right, so as we're getting towards the end here, I want to make sure that we talk about our anything else before we go into wrapping up.
Anything else, it does take a lot of planning and organization. So, to the extent that you can really be organized about whatever it is that you're doing, I like to tell people to keep a spreadsheet of the opportunities that they're pursuing, when they pursued it, to whom they reached out, the date if they heard anything back. Because without that organization, you won't know who's on first and who's coming in for a home run. You just won't know. And that's not a good brand look for you, because if you get a call from company A or firm A and you think that they're from firm C, immediately your brand has suffered as a result.
Yeah. Like the old "to whom it may concern"
Yes, exactly.
makes total sense. All right, awesome. So it is Memorial Day, May 30th, as you're watching this. Our next episode is going to air next week, next Thursday, so June 9th, which feels like it's so much farther away, but is only next Thursday. 1:45 Eastern time. We have Amy Gardner on. Amy's going to talk to us about Do As I Do, the secrets to creating great leaders at your firm, especially you. So, for all of you firm owners watching this, trying to become better leaders, because really the growth of an organization is limited by the growth of its leadership, you got to come back next Thursday, 1:45 Eastern time, to hear what Amy Gardner has to share about that. That being said, though, Deb, I'm not going to leave you without one more piece of wisdom, one more nugget, one more actionable takeaway. This has been one of the, I don't want to say dense because that sounds like a bad thing. There is so much that people could take away from this episode, from this chat. Like the stuff that you've shared about that brand building and how you utilize it is so helpful and so like the bedrock, the foundation of everything that really any person in every business should be doing to market. But that being said, I do want one more thing. So if somebody's been listening for the last whatever it is, 15 minutes at this point, remember nothing you said. What would be the biggest piece of advice, the most important takeaway on how an attorney can become the exhibit A of a successful lawyer?
Sure. So really take a look at what is your practice, and what is it that you want people to know about you and your practice. Write those things down. Go to the market and get information, research, and I say this all the time, it is the information that you collect and incorporate. That's the thing that will allow success. The more you know, dot, dot, dot. Those are the things that will allow you to have a broader perspective, a deeper understanding of where you can make an impact in your practice, for your clients, and for any potential clients. So the more you know, the more research you do will inform not only your brand, but how you operate and what your unique value is and how you bring that to your practice, to your professional life, and even to your personal life.
So I love what that was. I want to get a little bit more specific, maybe. Is it one thing? Is it three things? Is it like how much? Because like obviously, like I want to be known as the go-to lawyer for personal injury and criminal defense. Like that's never gonna fly. But like how broad versus how specific do you need to be about what you're writing down?
So you're going to start broad and then you're going to get more specific because you can't be everything to everyone. You probably have been to a diner, right?
I mean, I'm Jewish. I go as many times as I
Okay,
can.
so I feel
Hummus and
you,
Billy's.
right? Diner, perfect. Like you get the menu and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to order because there's too much on it. It takes forever. You probably send the waitress away 3 or more times before you're like, okay, I finally have figured out what I'm going to order here. There's pages and pages. You could have breakfast for dinner. You could have dinner for breakfast. It's never ending. Your brand can't be that, right? You're not going to be the best criminal defense attorney and also the best personal injury person. So find out or figure out from this exercise where you fit. You're going to start broad, and that doesn't mean that you're not going to take personal injury cases, but you want to become known for something so that you can hone in on and build up a practice whereby you are known as the best criminal defense attorney.
I love that, and I also love the my 2 cents on it. The more you make it focused on a person or a type of person, like it's not just I want to be the best PI lawyer. It's I want to be the best PI lawyer for blue collar professionals who are teachers or cops or doctors, or teachers or cops or realtors, whatever it is. Like that little extra bit will connect the person with you, who then will send you the other stuff because they know you, they like you, they trust you, and you're focused on them. So really, it's like an interesting dichotomy between like that brand of where you're known for and that ideal client and where that intersection is.
Exactly. And again, you're not going to be everything to everyone, and you don't have to be. I can assure you, there are plenty of, you know, doctors, realtors, and cops that need your services, that you don't have to worry about dealing with that population over there. You can focus on this so you can get more from a smaller group and build up a practice over time that will grow and where you're really known for something. You don't need every client. And you know what? You don't want every client either.
Correct. Well, totally. Well, and like, and look, there's 1.3 million lawyers in the United States. It's probably like closer to 1.5 now, which sounds like a ton. But then when you look at there's 400 million people, so you're like 400 to 1 lawyers to non-lawyers. But then also they don't do estate planning. They don't do business law. They don't do whatever. So now you're looking at like even just statistically 4,000 people to 1 lawyer for a niche of what you do, assuming there's like 10 different, the 10 different most common niches. And you can make a wonderful practice off of 4,000 people. Like that is
You certainly
probably
can.
way more than you need over, the next 20 or 30 years.
Exactly. Exactly. You can build up a wonderful practice. Not every client is the right client, and you don't need them all.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us here. Obviously, if anybody has been listening and is smart enough to want to stay in touch with Debra, LinkedIn's the place to go. Debra Wheatman, Wheatman. Sorry, for anybody who's listening on the podcast and doesn't get to see the video, I want to make sure we drop some of that information. Thank you so much for joining us. And to everybody who's here, we hope to see you back next Thursday, 1:45. Do as I do. The secrets to creating great leaders at your firm, including you. Have
Thank you
a
for having
great
me.
Thanks for being here. Have a great rest of Memorial Day for everybody, long holiday, and a huge thank you to everybody who gave all in service of our country so that we have the freedom to be on a Facebook live chat here about writing a resume.